Alright, what's going on, guys? So today we're going to continue breaking down the lore of Elden Ring from what we can see in the trailer. This is part 3 of our breakdown series, so if you haven't watched part 1 and 2, I definitely recommend checking those out before or after this video. It doesn't matter too much. But today we're going to be taking a look at the potential factions that control the world that we're going to be playing in. Who they are, what their motives are, and who might be on our side or our opposition. But as always, guys, be sure you're subscribed to the channel to stay up to date with all the latest news about Elden Ring and for some other cool Souls videos that I think you'll enjoy. And without any further ado, let's get into the breakdown. To start off this video, I want to reference a leak that happened a long time ago that we covered here on the channel. This leak was from a Chinese Soulsborne YouTuber all the way back in January, and 99% of it turned out to be true. He leaked a whole lot of stuff in this, such as the dynamic day and night cycle, the dynamic weather cycle, and the basis from Norse and Celtic mythology, which we can see clearly in the trailer. The only part of this leak that turned out not to be true was that he said the game would be released in 2021, but he did say he's pretty sure, and that likely was the case back then, since we know release dates with games change all the time. But there's a certain point of this leak that I want to go over that we haven't really gotten a good sign of, but I think it's going to give us a lot of insight into the world of Elden Ring, and who the main players are and the conflict that's going to be the center of our story. So this part of the leak, point 5, says, remember that red-haired giant, look up at the sky, it burns. He was badly wounded in battle. His faction is characterized by red hair and the use of large weapons. There is also a faction characterized by white hair. The two biggest factions he has known so far seem to have come from the same ancestor, but have split up eventually. Okay, so according to this leak, the two biggest players in our story are going to be the faction of the white hairs and the faction of the red hairs. And we can see bits of this throughout the trailer. In part 2 of the breakdown, we theorize who the descendants of the king and the queen were, and one of the traits that ran throughout the family of our theory was white hair. If you would like a more detailed explanation on the family, go watch part 2 or pause to look at that graph. But throughout the trailer, we can clearly note who the people with white hair are, and we can see many things connecting them to show that they are on the same side of the conflict. So the obvious first connection is that they all want to stop us on our journey. For whatever reason, the three main white-haired characters that we see turn out to be bosses that our characters fighting in the trailer. But there's a more striking connection between the three that we see. Take a look at the axe that this character wields. We can clearly see the symbol or motif of a lion reliefed on its surface, and we can see the architecture of the castle behind him many other times throughout the trailer. During the fight with this character, we can see both the lion motif and the same architecture, and we can also notice that he has white hair. But look closely in this shot, you can see the long red banners with that same lion symbol that was on the axe of the boss we saw earlier. So through this, we can associate these white-haired bosses with the red banner and the lion symbol. So then, what other times in the trailer have we seen this banner and lion symbol? The first one that I think of is on the saddle of the character that our player is fighting during this mounted combat scene. However, we can't see the lion symbol on there, but it is that same red with gold embroidery. There's another instance in this same scene that kind of tells us that this could be the same banner as the castle and the white hairs. Throughout the trailer, we can see numerous knights that our character fights, but take a look at their uniforms. All of them have that red and gold robe that seems to be symbolic of the white-haired's castle. There is something else interesting about the knights though. Aside from the red and gold on their uniform, there also is green and gold. Now, we weren't able to find many other signs of the green banners, but in all the scenes of the knights, there is that equal share of red and green, so the theory that we came up with was that the kingdom or the faction that uses the green to symbolize themselves could be in an alliance with the red lion-bannered kingdom or the white hairs. But since the knights wear both an equal share of red and green, it's difficult to pinpoint exactly who they belong to. Now, we also have signs of the other faction or the red hairs. Now, when I talk about red-haired characters in Elden Ring, obviously the most important one that we've seen so far is the Valkyrie, or the poster mascot for Elden Ring. Now, when you think about this conflict between white hairs and red hairs, there only seems to be one red hair that we've seen so far, but that's actually not the case. This orcish giant that we've seen in the 2019 trailer does in fact have that same distinctive red hair as the Valkyrie. And you might be thinking, well, if they only have red hair, what else is the connection to make this idea of the two factions valid? Take a close look at the Valkyrie in this scene in the new trailer. Now, it's easy to miss, but when she throws the character up in the air, you can see something on her cape. If you look really closely, you can make out that it's the symbol of the erdtree. Now, it is that same red and gold color, which would kind of throw a wrench in the idea of the red hairs versus the white hairs, But there is still something to back this up. Look at this scene right here, and look at that banner that's flying promptly in the middle of the barracks. It's the same symbol of the erdtree that's on the back of the Valkyrie's cloak. There is also something else important to note about this. If we look at the light in the sky, we can infer that the direction of the erdtree is pointing to the right, or the direction that the spikes are facing on their defenses. But they're flying the flag of the erdtree with spikes pointed towards the erdtree. Now, we do know there's a war going on, and when you fly a war banner, typically you fly the icon of something that represents your kingdom or what you're defending. And if we look at the spikes, these are clearly spikes to defend from something. So if we take for a moment that the icon of the erdtree is the symbol of the red hairs, and follow the direction that their spikes are facing towards the erdtree, we can see that same pointed architecture of the white hairs castle surrounding the erdtree. So then, in context of the greater world, what can this mean? Now, we know from the official lore that the queen's offspring took the shards of the Elden Ring for their own power, and started the war called the Shattering. Now, we believe that the white-haired characters that we see in the trailer are the queen's offspring. So then, if both of those turn out to be true, then the reasonable conclusion is that prior to or during the war, the white hairs drove out the red hairs from the power of the erdtree and took it as their own strength. That would make it possible for the red hairs to be fighting back for the land and defending the land that they occupy from the strength of the white hairs. But so far, that's as far as I've reached with this theory. I'm still unsure as to what the green banners on the half of the knight's uniform can mean, because we haven't found any signs of other green banners or a kingdom that represents themselves in green yet. But I want to know what you guys think about this theory. Do you agree or disagree with what I've concluded? And what are your thoughts on who the main players in our story could be? Either way, there's still so much to unpack in this, and I feel like I haven't even scratched the surface of this trailer. But guys, make sure you subscribe if you want to dive even deeper into the Elden Ring gameplay trailer, and I'll catch you in the next one.